If you've lived in Alaska any amount of time, you know that Eagle River definitely has a place right there near the top. It's some of the best places to live in the entire state. But there are definitely some downsides to living in kind of the smaller suburb of Anchorage. And, there's a little bit more to it than what you would see with just easy shopping, really easy commute over to Anchorage, and having kind of a good small town feel to it. My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a local realtor with Keller Williams right here in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching in real estate. And today we're going to be talking about the dark side of Eagle River, so we'll jump into that in just a minute. Before we get started, give this video a like, subscribe, and let's go and jump into today's topic. Okay, so number one, and we're going to be jumping into the deep end pretty quick here, but there actually have been a couple of deaths from bears in the past couple of years here in Eagle River. So they're not in Eagle River, so it's not like somebody was walking out of Fred Meyer's and just got jumped by a bunch of brown bears or something. But no, it is people who are hiking around in the Chugach National Park or down near the South Fork Trails who, have a run-in with usually a brown bear, and doesn't go very well. So, this is something that's not great. And the big reason for why we have so many bears here in Eagle River is because we are right up against the Chugach National Park, which, that's really great because we get out, we can get into nature pretty easily, we can go hiking and all this fun stuff. But it also creates about a 50 by 50 square mile section where you can't really hunt these bears very well. And so the population keeps growing and growing. This is very, very rare, I want to say, and you have to be pretty far out, or you have to be out on like some trails, and the circumstances have to align just perfectly, and the bear has to be in just the right mood for something like that to happen. Most people here in Eagle River have probably seen a bear or two in their lives, but very few of them have actually had like an actual real and true bear encounter. So that's number one, though. Number two, let's go and calm down a little bit. Number two is that the cost of housing in Eagle River is actually a little bit more expensive than what you're going to find in most other parts of the state. The average cost per house year to date, currently, as of the time of this recording, is about $470 here in Eagle River. In Anchorage, it's about $457, and in the Mat-Su Valley, it's $385. So you can see that the average sold price for properties here in Eagle River are going to be higher. And the big reason for that is that it's really limited space. If you look on a map, Eagle River is, either we have the base that's not too far away that takes up quite a bit of land, or we have the mountains right there overlooking us that kind of prevents us from doing a whole lot of building in specific areas. So we really do have limited land. And so for that reason, we're probably going to start seeing those average sold price for the houses is going to continue increasing just because limited real estate, and people do want to live here because it has a lot of really good attributes to it that people really do enjoy and gravitate to, such as having everything's really conveniently close. You can get over to Anchorage really quick if you need to for work, but it still has kind of that small town feel to it, and it's got a lot of events kind of geared towards families. So for that reason, that's probably not going to be going down anytime soon. Now, the third thing that's kind of a darker side of living in Eagle River is that it is starting to feel a little bit more crowded. Now, this is comparatively speaking, okay? So if you live in an area like let's say San Antonio, Denver, something like that, where you're just tripping over people left and right, then this is really just not going to be, it's going to feel like Mayberry to you. For those of us in Alaska, though, we're used to really small towns. And Eagle River, with approximately, last time I checked, it was about 34,000 people who actually live here. And for the space that we have, it's starting to feel a little more crowded. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but if you go to some of the smaller places like Palmer, Wasilla, Seward, places like that, well, Seward when it's not tourist season, it does start to feel a little bit more crowded comparatively to those other smaller cities here in Alaska. Now, the fourth downside of living in Eagle River is as you get closer to the actual Eagle River itself, you're going to notice during the wintertime that it does start to feel a little bit colder. So not to the point where you're just completely, living the Revenant and, you're can't even get to your mailbox or something like that in the morning. But you can feel a noticeable temperature drop as you do start going closer down to the river. Yeah, this is just kind of basic topography because you've got the mountains right overhead and that's shielding the sun from coming in during the wintertime. And obviously you've got the body of water that you're getting closer to, and that's going to make it a little bit colder as well. So just something to be aware of if you are living somewhere closer like Eagle Point or Parkview Terrace or places like that. Let's take a break here real quick. For those of you who've been watching for a while, you know I host a podcast called the Alaskan Journey Podcast, and we have had a record number of people who've gone and listened to it recently. And what I do is I go and interview people who've recently moved up here or have lived up here for a long time and talk about their experiences and information that you would find useful if you're considering relocating up here. So do make sure you go check that out. Link for that is going to be in the description section down below. And if you want a copy of my relocation guide for moving up here, by all means, go to my website, click on the link down below in the section down below, and we'll make sure to get that sent over to you. Just make sure when you register to the website, just put relocation guide in the comment section so I know what to send you. Now, let's go and finish today's video talking about the dark side of Eagle River. Another big con of living in Eagle River, well, I'll let you decide if this is a con or not, but one of the big things about living in Eagle River is you're going to be dealing with snow berms during the winter. Now, what a snow berm is when it snows and the plow truck comes through and just clears all the snow off the road, you're going to have, that big pile of snow that's going to be left in front of your driveway. Now, for a lot of people, this is a big annoyance, especially if you're elderly and it's a little more challenging to remove that stuff. Most other people, it's a good trade-off. And the reason it's a trade-off is because Eagle River is kind of the envy of Anchorage because it can get its roads plowed. Usually, if it snows during the evening, usually they can have all the snow cleared away by the time you go to work. Whereas in Anchorage, there's some parts of it, it's 3-4 days later, and people are still just sliding all over the place and trying to navigate through these roads that haven't been plowed yet. But the reason that Eagle River can get to it so quickly is because they're not worried about these snow berms. They just go through there, plow it real quick, and then you as the homeowner, you go out there and you clear that little section out in front of your driveway and you're good to go. So most people here in Eagle River consider that to be a good trade-off. If you wanted to have that removed, it would cost an additional $50 per person every time that it snows. So yeah, most people are like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just going to go spend 5-10 minutes and get that snow removed. This next one, it's not really Eagle River specific, but this is something that you're going to see just about anywhere in really South Central Alaska or Alaska in general, and that is earthquake damage. Yes, you are definitely going to see some earthquake damage here in Eagle River, especially from the 2018 earthquake. Most of it is going to be cosmetic. Okay, I've seen maybe 2, maybe 3 properties in all the years that I've been here where I've seen some really extensive earthquake damage that actually was of concern. But usually it's more cosmetic kind of stuff where we have like a crack between the seams of the drywall where someone just needs to go through real quick and, retexture that and, get that covered up. It's nothing structural. It's just kind of a cosmetic crack in the wall. But it is something you need to watch for. If I'm seeing cracks and I'm feeling the ground slide near a corner of a room or something like that, like I'm starting to feel an angle, then you need to be concerned. If we're looking at the ridge line for the roof and it looks all wobbly. I saw one just the other day where you could literally see it tilting like that. And that's just from the outside. You went inside, walked around, felt like you had vertigo or something. So it's pretty rare that you see that in Eagle River, but it is something you need to watch out for. Again, this next one, it really can be a pro or a con depending on how you look at it. And that is that there is more of a presence of HOAs in Eagle River than what you see in other parts of the state. So the reason that we have larger HOAs is because we do have a lot of turnover here in the city. This is a place where a lot of military people kind of gravitate towards. So the good thing about the HOAs, though, is that they do actually provide a lot of protection to your property values. So when you live in a community like Eagle River where you do see a lot of turnover, it's a really good idea to be able to have a lot of protection for your largest asset to make sure that your neighbor isn't opening up a mechanic shop right next door and tanking the property values for the entire neighborhood. So that kind of stuff is really good, but you definitely can find some HOA Nazis from time to time. So that's just kind of important to know going into it. And it really depends what parts you're going into. Not all of Eagle River is in some form of HOA, but it is good to know that there are probably going to be some restrictions to living in Eagle River. And this last one, it's definitely going to sound like whining to a lot of you who are living in bigger cities, but the traffic can be a little congested if you're trying to get out in the morning to commute over to Anchorage. Now, for those of you who are used to sitting in like 30, 40 hour and a half long traffic every single day, this is going to sound really lame because sometimes you'll have to wait like maybe 10, 15 minutes when you're trying to get to Anchorage because everyone's getting up and trying to head out to the same place at the same time. So this isn't really that bad as long as you make sure that you were either 1, really early or 2, really late. And you can usually avoid that altogether and usually get to Anchorage within 10 or 15 minutes. Well, we'll say 15 to 20. 15 to 20, you could probably get to most places you want to in Anchorage in that time from Eagle River. So, this has been the dark side of living in Eagle River. I sure hope it's been useful for you. If you have any questions about the area, do feel free to reach out to me either on my Facebook page down below, or I also do have my comment section down below. I try to answer as much as I can, but either way, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.